Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Tote Minnesota. My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about some Osight products. There are some new ones on the market. A while ago I reviewed this. This has already been out for a while. It's the Osight SE. So it's an enclosed dot RMSc foot pattern or footprint, and it has a rear sight built in. I really like this. I like the controls. I like the reticle options you get. I like the rechargeable bit, but there are plenty of people out there who would like the option to replace a battery and not wait for a recharge. And so for that group of people who want to just leave it on for a long period of time, there is a new version of the Osight SE called the Osight SE. Let me grab that for you real quick. The Osight SE has a side compartment, has a very similar body type as what you're familiar with if you have the S. The difference being that this battery is a 1620, so it's a little bit smaller than a 2032, a little bit smaller size, and it's going to fit really well with this very compact size RMSc pattern optic. You still get that rear sight, you're still going to get awesome reticles, and the body is going to be very compact and small, but now with the option of a battery compartment, because a lot of people, like I said, that's something that was important to them. I like both. I like the rechargeable one just fine, but I know there's a market for this because I see it in the comments all the time. So you have a retaining screw right there. I'm going to drop that in there. Then I'm going to take off my old Model S and install the SE, and then we'll shoot it a whole bunch on this SIG 322 with the anechoic X22 on front. Hey, something worth noting. I opened up the package and they redid their packaging a little bit, and it's pretty smart. So you have your tool inside. These are really useful, and I just keep one in my bag with me most of the time. They've also taped down a couple of the battery compartment screws. So you have two extras in there in case you lose the screw for the retaining bit to your battery compartment. That's a really good idea. And I was curious when I opened it up, I thought, you know what? I can just imagine, with my fingers not being super nimble, I can imagine losing one of those little screws, and they have extras in there if you ever need it. So hold on to this, keep your kit together. You do have your user manual, and then you also have all that extra hardware in there for just about anything I've ever seen. The variety of screws here is super helpful, as well as a lens cleaning cloth, which will be useful right now because I dropped the optic in wet sand before I even used it. So it's just perfect. I'm gonna go clean it off, and I'll come back in a second. All right, I've got it installed, and I really like the look of this. My friend Ashton, new friend Ashton from Osight, he shoots Osights and is a competitive shooter, really great tutor on ACE, the virtual shooting assistant. Go check out Ashton's channel and a lot of his content. But me and him were talking at NRA show, and we thought, man, this thing is really so well done. It looks good aesthetically. I think it's just built well. I love the reticles and the fact that I can retain a backup iron sight. And now with this side port, you can throw in a battery and you don't have to wait for a recharge if that's like an imminent need for you, and that's just the way you use guns. Now you have an option from Osight, and you get the other benefits still in there, as well as a price point that is incredibly low. So from here, now that it's installed, I'm going to gas it up, and then I will use this tool once more. This tool has a flat portion or a standard portion, and I'm going to use that for my elevation and windage. I'll probably take a few standing shots and then finalize it at maybe 20 yards. 15 yards is usually what I go, but I think I'll go a touch back, just a touch back, 20 yards this time. And from the bench at 20 yards on a bag, I'll try to finalize that and get it honed in. But let's start off with some paper and see what we can do with the Osight SE. Okay, at 12 yards, let's see if we're on paper. That's a tight group for 12 yards. So those first three shots are in the same hole. And I'm definitely on paper. Looks like I'm a little bit to the left, a touch low from where I want to be, but not too much because I want to be zeroed at about 20 yards. And I really like those reticle options. That's still something I love about this. When it comes to zeroing, shooting really tiny, tight groups, I can do it that way. When it comes to hunting, there's some bigger reticles. And if you really like large reticles with a huge amount of real estate there, something big and eye-catching, you can go with the circle plus the crosshair or center dot. There's just so much option for this. And that thing shoots tight. I'm shooting on the dot right now, which allows me to get a very precise, very precise holding point, aiming point. I'm gonna true that up get my windage figured out, and then I'll switch over to steel probably, because I think I'm exactly where I need to be at 20 yards, just a touch low here at 12. Now that I have a confident zero on it, was able to put it on the bag and just be really, really sure. Tight groups, I'm seeing actually really tight groups at 20 yards. They're all stacking really close. So this pistol can do it, especially with this can combination. I'm very happy to see that with average quality ammo. But at this distance, I should be able to freehand go back and forth between 8-inch pieces of steel relatively smoothly, hopefully without missing much. The reticle that I decided to go with for this is one that I think is fun. It's the dot with a circle around it, the kind of full reticle. That's a fun one to use, and I'll go for that right now. If I have another like strike with this thing, I feel like I'm gonna sell this pistol. I don't think it's the ammo. I think it's the gun. Too many light strikes. Sorry, Sig. I can pretty much go full speed on that reticle. It's just a nice big dot. I put it on that size target, and at 20 yards, it's about the same size as the target. So I just cover it up and go full speed because, again, it's a 22, not much for recoil. I have the can on there. And the reticle itself is easy enough for me to have in the background. I kind of focus on the target, and then the reticle is just a layover. It's just there. It's a reference. I don't focus on the reticle with red dots, and you shouldn't either. That's what professional shooters have taught me, and I'm trying to do what they're saying. The speed shooters that were just here an hour ago are not people who focus on the reticle. They focus on the targets and get ready to move so they can be a little faster and more dynamic with their pistol, and I'm just trying to do that more and more as I get used to shooting these. But this dot is awesome. For a small window, a very compact dot, I think this reticle rocks. And I think the field of view that you get is very, very acceptable. I don't have trouble finding it. I'm not doing this thing a lot trying to find the dot. It's just very natural. And I've got, 7,000 rounds through this pistol, so that should help. One of the reasons I love to test out optics, in particular on rimfire, is because it allows me to get thousands of rounds of reps and experience behind the optic without being thousands of dollars. And so I have it on my BCA 201, 16-inch threaded with the Anechoic X22 on the end. I've got my side tray SE right here. Okay, I got some targets at 30 yards. I'll run through some targets at 30 yards with SK, I think this is SK semi-auto. Yep. At 30 yards, 8-inch targets. Now I stepped into the shade for a second, and one thing I like about this optic is the ability to go as dim as it does and as bright as it does. That's an important thing for me. When it comes to red dots, they have to be able to get very bright and pretty dull. When it comes to evening shooting or shooting in the shade, it does have to get sufficiently dull, or otherwise it kind of blooms, or it just looks, it covers up too much of the target. There's a few disadvantages if a optic can't do it. This one does it with no problems at all. And with the battery life that this has, I don't mind just leaving it on for, pretty much forever. Now, those of you who've been watching the channel for a while know that I've done quite a few of the releases for Osight optics. I like them, and they're not going anywhere. I still have a rechargeable right here. So the Osight S is one of my favorites. It's sitting on the new Ruger 2245 Mark V. This is an awesome little shooter. I should do a review on this. I like this one quite a bit. You'll see that I have an O-light underneath. I'm a big fan. I love the rechargeable stuff, rechargeable on the optic, rechargeable on the light. It just lasts forever. These things just flat out work, and they're pretty bright. And the features are good. I just don't really have a downside. It's one of the hard things when Osight asks for critique, and they do. Believe it or not, they want critique. That's one of the few companies I know of who starts off the conversation saying, hey, let us know what you don't like or don't appreciate, what we should redesign. They want to know from the end user. And man, I struggle to find any critique. I guess when it comes to a Picatinny claw mount, trying to go as minimal as possible, so you have a low footprint and a small footprint, it's not too wide. I guess that's one thing I would love to see. are more footprints and claw mounts that are really low profile, but it's kind of hard to go smaller than this and remain robust. It's hard to get much smaller. I could imagine some people maybe want a version that doesn't have the rear sight built in. I personally do. I don't want to lose that. I like having the rear sight built into it. This one also has it. I don't need it for what I'm doing right here, but it doesn't get in my way. And if anything, if your dot actually died, if the battery died and you didn't have a spare one sitting around somewhere, it gives you some sort of reference point inside, especially with pistols. So I don't have a downside. I wish I had some sort of critique or something that I could say, do this different or make this look different. I like the reticles. I like the battery life. I like the design. I struggle, guys. I'm struggling to come up with something that I don't personally like. Maybe there's something that you would prefer differently, and you can comment that down below. But for me, I'm a fan. I like these. They cover all the bases. They've thought through the end user really well. And there's nothing about this that I would say go back to the drawing board on this one. I just like the Osight S a lot, and that's why I'm running it on 3 different guns right now. All right, that's all I have for you today, guys. I just want to let you know that this is an option on the market. Again, you can install your smaller sized battery. So it's not even the size of a 2032. It's smaller than a 2032. And you still get the nice footprint that you have with the Osight S series. I think they're fast. I use them, and I'll use them on carry guns too. I think they're reliable. These are really robust being enclosed. I like the angle on the screen and the slight hood and cover, so you can, you know, rack it off of your belt or the table or your hand, and you don't necessarily get your fingerprints on there. They clean off really well. I don't get glare. I think the lens coatings on these have been very adequate, and I'm just a huge fan of retaining a rear sight. That's big for me. The controls are very easy and accessible. They're easy to understand. I hardly had to look at a manual ever in running one of these. I was pretty much able to play with it really quick on the range, get it zeroed up, and understand exactly what to do. So it's a great sight. I love it. The sight is staying. The Aneco X can is staying. The pistol is not. I am going to get rid of this. I have had too many failures to feed. I'm really frustrated with it. Failures to fire, light strikes. I have all sorts of issues with this pistol, and it's fun because it can shoot really tight. And when it's going, you can burn it down with this pistol. But I've had too many other 22 pistols to know that this is just not reliable enough for me, and I'm kind of frustrated with it. I'm done with it. Unless I actually want to practice malfunction drills or something, this thing just doesn't do it for me. I can't take this out as a backup for hunting or squirreling when I'm having so many failures with it. So my request for you guys is, now that I've recommended a can, I've recommended an optic that I swear by, I need a recommendation from you guys for a 22 pistol that you swear by. I know that ammo does have a lot of hangups with 22. I'm very familiar with that. I've got tens of thousands of rounds of 22 ammo through 22s and pistols. The most reliable one I've found so far was a 22-45 from Ruger. Maybe I should reach back out to Ruger and try to get a hold of one of the next gen Rugers. But if you have one that is really reliable, maybe tell me about that in the comments, because I'm willing to do some research and look into things, and maybe I'll reach out to that company and find out if we can find a more reliable 22 for the channel. Until then, Osight, thank you for sending this out to the channel. Anna Cook, thank you for sending this out to the channel. I'm a huge fan of those products, and they have been working really, really well.